Let's get into it. Pre-market breakdown. So yesterday we had a prediction, right? And we were looking for the push all the way up towards the 415 for the gap fill. And then we also had a Fibonacci, right? So our hidden fib system from the 100 to 78.60. Fib out, push, target 1, target 2, right? So a couple beautiful hits there. And then for our prediction video, we said the rest of the day was just going to be sideways, right? No big deal there. Now, for the rest of it, we pushed back up. And as we posted in our chat here, this is the Anchor top VWAP. So that clicked to the penny. As we alerted as well, coming into that resistance. And then we said yesterday, two different plays will most likely play out here. We'll come back down. The big rally here from the Biden talking debt ceiling will be a pre-front run where everybody gets pretty excited about it and nothing will happen till the meeting coming up on Sunday. And we also have a Fibonacci backtest to do. So two things were going to happen. One was going to be the consolidation here sideways to further move up, which would be a FOMO squeeze breakout over that weekly anchor and all-time high anchor VWAP. Number two was, as long as we lost the 2618 on a rollover, right? We're going to come back down and test the 1618, right? Coming back down here. And 1618 is at half candle retrace. See our little indicator right here, HCR. So half the candle's body of yesterday, because we love 50% of everything here on these channels. So that is what we're looking at. Good morning, everybody. So far, let's take a little quick at pre-market. Look at some of the indicators here that signaled this move. We can go to our default setting real fast, and you can see where that anchor is here. So right there, anchor, all-time high, weekly resistance, 416.44. Notice that little peak right into her, and then she turned back around. We have an interesting little algo here that kind of gave us a rejection signal right as the RSI and leading indicators that we like to use worked out. So here's a little algo right here. Look down, RSI 50. So let's look at the whole breakdown. Moved into all-time high. Anchor top, over hot RSI coming into this, right? RSI breaks back down, gives you the lower high, lower low. So bottom circle here is a lower low, lower high in the RSI. Look at the oscillation wave coming back down. And of course, one of my favorite and most important now, the MAC, right? So we were on the back side of the oscillation, and then look at this little buy wave right here. This little buy wave right here on the oscillation did not trump the prior oscillation wave. So tall seller wave, small buyer wave, back to back there on the MACD, all giving you signals that this top resistance pick at the anchor all-time high had a very good incantation to sell. We also had a giant volume beat candle right here on our volume beat system. So what do we see from that? Well, RSI channeling. We go from the top side of the RSI channel to, you guessed it, the bottom side. Right? So what happens then? Come back down into the bottom, chop, 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 pushed back up. And what is our entry point? We don't FOMO down. We don't chase down. We wait for a retrace and confirmation, right? So we broke this 50, retraced to the halfway point of the RSI, continued lower. Now let's look at that as an entry. Let's look to the low side here. We have TTM sticking to the sell side. More importantly, right here, the MAC has crossed its negative line. Okay, this is the positive, negative, and the zero zone. So that zero zone right here was also crossed into negative sell territory. So let's look at our two different entries here that would have helped us. So the MAC cross here is entry 1 into the negative. RSI back test entry number 2. E1, E2. Okay, so those were your short entries off the anchor. Now we are sitting in that channel, rolled back around, and had a obvious sell back down. And what were our targets that we had even called yesterday? Let's go back to our lesson tab where our hidden Fibonacci system lays. Once we lose the 2618, we will magnet down potentially to the 1618, right? So lost our 2618, tons of different signals to sell, and we are on the way down to the 1618. Right? And then we'll have to watch for continued direction there. So the two psychology front runs here also is, did the Biden pop, right? Was everybody so worried about the debt ceiling? They front ran it. And now because of the job market needing more tightening, we had unemployment numbers and those were bad. So that crushed down here Okay. Did they front run that Biden news because it was a big FOMO? Did the shorts get blown out of that really terrible consolidation that we've been viewing here? If you go back to the 5-day 5-minute, we were obviously range trapped forever. And was that debt ceiling saying, hey, we're going to figure it out and come up Sunday? Was that just the prefrontal FOMO move, right, into a wash sell jobs? Because, a Thursday continuation run off this with no catalyst probably is going to be too crazy. And then a Wednesday move pushing back up, leaving Powell, right, for Friday. That's a really interesting setup. So moving into Powell, I don't think we're going to get any kind of crazy continuation moves. Obviously, the catalyst is still going to be maintained on Powell, and we're going to watch for that. So today, we're going to watch this thing walk itself down to most likely the 1618, as we talked about yesterday in the prediction video as well, if we had lost those levels. So those were hit. One other big indicator here we like to use is the VIX. I'll go over that. Now, the VIX right here, even this morning, when the VIX moves outside of the +1, -1 deviation ranges, so if you use standard deviation, we have a custom code here at BRT, you're noticing right here, this is -1, -2. When it decides to move into a pocket this low, it has a very high opportunity for a bounce, right? So let's look at a couple indicators on the volatility index as well real fast. Here's the cross. Here's all the higher low, higher highs leading up to the center point of the MAC. Beautiful cross confirmation right here. TTM and RSI. RSI gave you a signal actually ahead of time. Look at this. Right here, higher high. Why is the trend putting in a higher high? And then it based, gave you the old 1-2 right here where it tried to fake out a low, which obviously wasn't going to happen. We already had the MAC cross and we already had mega support. It was already very oversold on the VIX. Pushed back up, recovered, back tested the halfway point, gave you a confirmation, and boom, ran hot because it needed to push back up, right? It was way too low. So in order to continue trend and identify that move, we had the volatility index helping us along with every single indicator. We read that like a book, and that was pretty good. So that was about the prediction of yesterday and break, and we'll see how we do today for the rest.